Hi everyone, this is the introduction to SAP MDG. For those who know a little bit about SAP, any module, a function module or a technical module, uh, that doesn't matter. So this will be important for you because we many people have requested for this introduction video, and that's why we are putting it here. Let us know in the comments if you like it. This is the first part of it, very short intro. There will be the second part to the introduction itself, and we'll post it very soon. So, welcome to SAP Master Data Governance. SAP MDG is one of the modules, just like any other module in SAP, be it sales and distribution or customer management. So, your CRM module, your ABAP module, your uh, material master, material management, or supplier management, and all the other modules. Just like that, there is a module MDG, and MDG lies on top of each of it because uh, the MDG deals with the master data. MDG stands for Master Data Governance, and it deals with the master data. So I'll not assume that you know anything about master data governance or anything. So I'll start from scratch. First thing for all of us is to understand what master data is. Through this training, we will understand multiple topics about master data governance and what this module does and why is it important. So the agenda for this for today would be to understand what is master data, then what different types of master data are there, and what are their usages. Then we'll understand what MDG tool does or what MDG module does. Where does it stand in the whole picture? Then why is it needed? Then we will understand a little bit on what how MDG architecture is. It is a little bit different from all the other modules, but it's not too odd or too difficult to understand. And there is a reasoning for its different architecture. We'll understand that completely. Then what we'll understand what implementation models are. There are different ways you can implement MDG, and those are called implementation models. So this is what we are going to understand. We are going to understand what new has SAP brought in this. So for example, let's look at this invoice document. So we know the whole purpose of any business is to earn money in the end. To serve customer or not serve customer, we need the money. And invoice is the most important part of it because that ensures that you're getting the money, right? So any business, I mean, now I've taken an example from Amazon. Amazon is a business. They have customers. You and I are the customers, and they sell things. They have corresponding sellers. They can sell on their name, or they can sell on their on Amazon's name. But they have sellers, and they sell the product, get the money, and give us the invoice. And this is one of the examples. I'm taking this example because each of you have would have at least at some point ordered something online from Amazon or Flipkart or something else or some other website. So Amazon is a very common thing. You must have seen this invoice. Now, for any business, you can fetch many details from their invoices. And what kind of details are there? So this has all the data. What is the data? Any any information that a company wants to save for future is a data. Now here you can see many things, right? the sold by. That means who is the seller? Amazon is the seller here. Then billing address. It is billed on this name. The shipping address. It has been delivered to this guy, John Doe. And so he is the customer. Then you have the invoice number. You have invoice date. You have what has been sold. This is the material. This is your material which has been sold here, right? Then so this is your material. This is your vendor. This is your customer. Then this is the order number that you created. This is the PAN number. PAN number and GST number of the vendor. Then comes the amount, the total amount that has been used. Okay. So all these things, everything here is data. And okay, let's say what is not data here. Tax, invoice, bill, supply. This text is not data. It's just a plain text which tells about what kind of document is it. Okay. So we'll not say that everything here is data, but this document, this screenshot is full of data. Okay. And there are different types of data. Now just assume that you order the same thing on some other date. The same person orders the same thing in same quantity on some other date. Which of these fields or which of these data things are going to remain same and which will change? So on a different date, what will change is your invoice date, right? Then what other thing will change is your order number, your order date, your invoice number, your invoice details. Okay, so this is how we identify what is a changeable data and what is a constant data. Okay. Now there is a very good term in ERP for such data. That data is called master data. Data that doesn't change very frequently is called the master data. Now let's look at this invoice. So you have vendor details here. Okay. Then you have customer details. You have invoice. You have order details. You have material, as we discussed earlier. Now things which are marked in blue, vendor, material, customer number. If you notice in the next receipt, on ordering the same thing again on some other date, these will not change much. Your vendor will remain same, your customer data will remain same, your material name will remain same. What will change is the order details, order number, order date, invoice number, invoice date, because this is independent of the customer. It is dependent on the invoice. Okay, that's why it will change. So everything in this invoice which is marked with blue is your master data. Okay, that's how you identify your master data, right? Now, why is let's go to this. We'll see what are different types of master data. So here we are seeing vendor, material, customer, right? Order details are not master data because it changes every single time. It changes, but your customer, vendor, and material data doesn't change. So that is master data. Let's see what other type of master data is available. Your customer details, your customer partners, your material details, your vendor details, and then your financial details. So it is like general ledger, cost center, profit center, cost element, and hierarchies. So this will come. This is part of finance data. So some of the finance data, your account numbers, let's say, remain same. Your account numbers don't change. Your cost center number, your profit center number doesn't change. If you don't understand these terms, don't worry about it. I mean, in your MDG detailed training, these are covered in detail, so you don't have to worry about this at this point. The important is the general data, general ledger and cost center and other financial, some of the financial master data doesn't change. Vendor details, material, customer number, this you already know. Now the question is, what is the use of master data? Where is it used? It is always used in some transaction. And what is the transaction data again? We go back, the order, the sales order which is created is a transaction. The invoice which is created is a transaction. And your master data is used here. Can you create an order without a vendor number or a customer number? Who will you create an order on name of? Right? You cannot do. You cannot create an invoice without a customer number or customer name. You will have to send the invoice to somebody. You cannot order something without the name of the object that you are ordering or name of the material that you are ordering. So to create transactions, invoices and orders and other transactions, you need master data. So let's say where it is used, a different type of transaction data. And this is not a exhaustive list. This is just for example. It's the sales order, purchase order, your payments, your reportings. These are all transactions. Okay? So when you create a sales order, you need customer details, you need material, and you need you need customer and material. You don't need who is selling it in general. But to create a purchase order, you need who is selling it and what material it is. For payments and invoices, you need general ledger. For reporting, you need cost element, profit center, and other things. So this is how the master data is used. So you can see that most of the transactions or all the transactions are dependent on at least one or more than one master data, right? Master data is created once and it doesn't change frequently. Sales data, sales orders, purchase order, these are created every single day in hundreds or even thousands or millions. So this is the main difference between master data and transaction data. Okay. Now, going ahead, what is MDG? Now, let's take one example. Let's step back a little, try to understand what happens because master data is created once and sales order is created multiple times. So if there is something wrong with in master data, what happens? It will destroy the data in your sales order. And every corresponding, let's say you created 100 sales order in a day, and all of those got a wrong customer data. Let's say customer address. Then what happens? All the sales order have to be reversed. Now we'll take one example here from Amazon itself. Let's say you are a customer and you add your details and place an order. Let's say you add the details with incomplete address, or maybe you do not give your house number or flat number, then the phone number that you gave might have some bit of issue. Let's say you missed out a digit or replaced a digit incorrectly. So you're done, you have added your details, you're done with your account. Then you place an order. Place an order, an invoice will be created on your name, a bill will be sent to you. The shipping will be initiated, and then a home delivery guy picks up from the shipping company and tries to deliver to your house. But then he looks at the address that it's not a unique house. There are two houses there on the same street nearby each other, and only thing that can differentiate here is the flat number or the house number, the plot number. But you have not provided me your address. Now what he tries to call you, but accidentally your phone number is also incorrect. So there is no way for him to reach out to you to identify which house is it. He is very desperate because it has come all the way from here to here and he just needs to know which one is it. So what he does is he has no other option but to give it back. So he returns it, reverses it, then reverse shipping happens, then invoice is reversed because your phone number, your address is wrong there, and then it goes back to you for corrections. You correct it, then you place the order again, and then it gets delivered. In Amazon order, it is fine. It is a loss to the company. It is loss to Amazon. It is loss to the vendor who is selling the data, selling the objects. But it is still a loss, still a minor loss. In bigger companies, bigger businesses, hundreds of orders get placed in a day, and the quantities are very large, very huge. Deliveries take months altogether. Your production takes months together altogether. And if, let's say, at a later moment, they find out that data master data is incorrect, they will have to reverse a lot of things, and it could be a very very huge loss to the company. They don't really want to take that kind of risks. We cannot take that kind of risks. That's where MDG has come into picture, where MDG helps to ensure that before any transition can happen, the master data is created very neatly, very cleanly, and it should be reviewed by multiple people, and it should be so good that no reversal happens on orders because of the master data. That's where master data governance comes into picture. This is the concept of master data governance. And MDG tool is a new tool provided by SAP. It is an upgrade on, like way bigger upgrade on the MDM tool that SAP used to have long back. But it is much more advanced. I mean, and not to be confused with that MDM tool in general, but it is a way advanced tool for master data governance. And it is probably one of the best in the market today, which can handle all kind of master data. So, what is MDG? MDG is a framework that helps to ensure the master data is governed. In the end, it's a tool. It's a T code where you do the configurations so that when data is created, it ensures that it is valid and a lot of other things. We'll see what it does. So it is a tool in the end. So MDG is a framework that helps to ensure the master data is governed. When we say govern means a lot of things. Governance means quality, maintains quality. That means the data should be very neat, complete, unique, and valid. It should be secure. That means it should be created by a person who is authorized. It should be approved by people who are authorized and who are the specialists or the SMEs of that particular data. And it should be finalized as data only when it is approved by everyone. Then consistency, central maintenance and distribution of clean data across system. Another thing comes is that data should be same across all the systems. There, again, many branches. A business can have many branches. They can have their own local system, computer systems, local ERPs, local logbooks. It is important that a customer who is created in one system should have the same name, same address, same phone number in the other systems as well. So master data governance ensures that you create a data here, and it will ensure that the same data is replicated to all the systems. Okay, we'll come to the details of that. Now, what is three things we have to remember: quality, security, or quality approvals, or you can say workflows, and consistency. So you enter bad quality data in MDG, it converts it to high quality data. You try to add a risky, unapproved source of data somehow through web service or through a new user can just add a data. It will ensure that it is thoroughly approved by everyone and doesn't get created automatically. Then you enter inconsistent data from different users. Different people can enter different names for a particular customer, and it will ensure that only the unique and consistent data goes across. These are the three basic things that you have to just learn how to configure them in MDG, and it will ensure that this is everything about MDG. This will ensure that your master data remains governed till the end, and there will be lesser errors. That means inconsistencies will be less. It will be reviewed, so lesser errors will be there. And if lesser errors are there, that means your transactions will fail less, and that will ensure a good coverage of the losses because of the master data. Let's look at it in detail. Some examples what MDG can do. So quality governance. Let's say first thing is neatness. What is neatness? Look at this data. Address 109 US 1005 NYC 5th Avenue. Okay. Now 5th AVE. I mean, it's not even an avenue. Now this is an address. A human can read it as an address, but is it neat? I mean, every street name is at the end, zip code is before city, then country code is there right after the flat number or your apartment number. This is the complete data, but it is not a very neat one. So what happens, what system MDG can do is you pass this data, you pass this address to MDG, and it will convert it into the neat format, like house number 109 5th Avenue, New York City, New York, US 10005. This way. This is called neatness. This is one of the purposes of maintaining quality governance. Completeness here. Let's say if you enter your address, different fields, but you miss out region and zip code. System has capability and it can actually connect to several APIs where it can fetch the missing details here. So you have house number, you have 5th Avenue, you are New York City. Now there are many APIs available which MDG can use to identify which region and zip code it belongs to. So you pass half-cooked data and it will fill all the remaining details in it automatically. Then uniqueness. What uniqueness is about? It is about ensuring that duplicate data doesn't go through. Duplicate data has severe consequences, and it can, let's say, a material name, or let's say SAP Trainers Association, and these are the two customers created here. Both customers have their own set of transactions and orders. Although these are same customers, just because of one separate apostrophe, system could not identify that these are the same, and it is calculating their profits or their transactions, their investment in different accounts. This causes a loss to the customer because he has been paying a lot more than what it has been calculated by the system because of the duplicate data. So if both of them invest 500, and system thinks that they're investing 500, but the customer actually has invested 1,000. So he could be one of the biggest customer for the firm, but system always counts him as a lower customer. So this kind of reporting is gets affected by this kind of duplicate data. It could be material. You might want to know which material has been or which product has been the highest selling for you in last month. But let's say there are two products with similar name. Just by somebody because user entered incorrect data somewhere or changed the spelling, system is counting it as two different products. So it is a loss to the product because it cannot compete in the highest selling product list. So we can go into the details of that later, but there are a lot of other implications, majorly in your reporting, where uniqueness of the data is not maintained. So let's look at this example, SAP Trainer Solution. You can see different formats are there where we have written this name. If you pass all these to MDG, MDG has capability to identifying that these are all same things. And whatever, every single time, if you enter this data 5 times, it will take the data and will update the same one single customer because it knows that it is a unique data and it is the same thing. So this is one of the major advantages in MDG. This is called duplicate check, you can say, or a way to maintain uniqueness. And it's a very, very strong tool. It can read hundreds or thousands of, or maybe millions of records very quickly to identify if it is matching with the existing one. Then comes validity. System ensures whether the data is valid or not. So neatness, completeness, uniqueness is one thing. Validity is non-optional thing. The data should be valid. So let's say somebody enters John Doe, phone all zeros, John D at the rate 1, phone all zero, a proper phone number, then John Doe with proper phone number. The system has a way to understand which one is invalid. Your phone number all zeros is invalid. Your last name has special character that is invalid, but the third entry is completely valid and it will let only the last entry pass through. This is a very, very simple example that we have taken because you might already be familiar with similar requirements already, but there are many complex many complex calculations that you can put in to ensure that the data which has been entered by the user is valid. So these are the 4 basic criteria for good quality data: neatness, completeness, uniqueness, and validity. Now look at the second part of it. Okay, and what I'm doing here is I'm going through the governance process. Like, what are the options in governance? Quality, security, and consistency. Okay, so quality we have seen: neatness, completeness, uniqueness, and validity. What is approval governance or security, you can say? So in standard or in conventional SAP, you would have seen that you go to a transaction MM01, you enter some data, save it, and it gets saved to the database table. That's a risky thing because if somebody saves the data incorrectly, let's say they save the standard price incorrectly in MM01, and as soon as it is created, somebody places an order on that. That could cause some loss to the business, isn't it? If your standard price is lower than what it should be, or if it has been placed from a plant which does not even exist, or which does not exist for that particular material, then it could cause loss to the company. So what MDG does is, if requester creates a data, it doesn't directly create in the database tables. It keeps it to itself in MDG layer and let the experts decide. Experts are predefined people or predefined group of people for different views of different set of responsibility to review the data which the requester has created. The user enters material data with plant and finance data. It goes to data steward for review. Data steward is generally a position given to some experts or some generic experts on material master, or let's say whatever object we are using. And first he reviews everything, he approves, then finance data goes to finance data approver, plan data goes to plan data approver for their review and approval. So they review their corresponding area and approve it. Then after everyone approves it, then actual material gets created in the system and the orders can be taken by your service agents. Okay, so this is the concept of approval governance. This is what we mean. So in general, as soon as you enter data and save it, it doesn't directly go to this point. It goes through the approval flow. And this flow is the predefined. This is what you have to configure based on your business requirement. Third thing is centralization of data. Centralization of data means that there should be one point of entry for the data, and that system should ensure that the same data is copied to all the other systems. And MDG serves the purpose for that. Now, let's say in the conventional system, what happens is there is a US branch, there is India branch, and a Europe branch, and they all have their own ERP systems. So, user here in US branch goes John Doe, correct spelling, everything's correct. That's fine. But same customer has to be created for India branch. So we replace JH H with the O and we save it as John Doe. Orally, it sounds similar, but it is not the correct spelling. In Europe, let's say they miss out H completely and they say John Doe. It sounds fine. Technically, it is not the same thing because it's a different spelling. Now, what happens is the same customer, your uniqueness is gone, right? So, your same customer exists in different branches with different names, and the same disadvantages will happen with which happens with the duplicate data, or the inconsistency of the data will happen. Now, and what MDG does is, MDG allows is, it has inbuilt capability of replicating the data or sending the data to other systems. You don't have to code anything. It is just what you have to configure. Everything is a configuration here. So here somebody enters John Doe in MDG, and it goes through approval and validations or everything. And then once it is approved, the same data is replicated to all systems. So next time you have to do a change, you do the change in MDG, and the same changes will also replicate to all the systems. And this will ensure that all the systems have the consistency in the data and they can communicate to each other then because they will have the same data. Okay. So this is one very, very strong advantage of MDG. This new technology or new facility is called Data Replication Framework. It was introduced with MDG, but it is now available with S4HANA as well. So you just need to, but in MDG it's a must. You have to use replication in most cases, and it ensures that you don't really have to create any IDOCs or anything. You just have to configure that to which system do you want to send and what do you want to send to them. So we'll come to details of these things later. Then what is MDG architecture? We'll just go through the whole process again. The conventional material master data creation process. What was it? You go to MM01 in SAP GUI and you enter the data, you press save, it goes directly to your MARA table, isn't it? This is what I mentioned earlier, could be a risky thing in some places. Because if you incorrectly enter material data and somebody directly starts creating an order on this, it could be a very disastrous for the business. In what MDG does is, if user enters the data on screen, so we don't have MM01 for MDG. There are different UI and different screens, some fancy ones available in MDG to do the same thing. It has the same fields what MM01 provides, just in a fancier way. So people call it Fury screens, but those are not actually Fury screens. Those are just basic WebInfo screens, which we can access through NetViewer Business Client, and WBC is the transaction generally we use. But you don't have to worry about this. Just that assume the fancier version of MM01. So user enters the data on MDG UI. It goes to the temporary tables. It stays in MDG area. It doesn't go to MARA table yet. it stays in MDG table, and it will request all the business approvers, different business approvers that we have seen. It will ask them to approve the data one by one, and once everyone approves it, then it goes to your MARA table. Now, because data is ensured that it is clean, it is neat, it is approved by everyone, people can place orders on that particular material. So this additional layer, this is called MDG layer, and this makes the whole difference here. You just configure it what you want to system to do on this data in this layer, and once that when that is completed, it will go to your transaction systems. So now there are two things, or deployment models. It might confuse you, but don't worry about it. It's just a thing that you might need to know at an architect level. But if you are new to MDG, you are not expected to know this. Okay. So there are two models: co-deployed model and hub model. This is a picture that I want you to remember when we talk about hub model. Hub means MDG is one system and it is connected to multiple other systems. You enter data in MDG and it gets replicated to all other systems. Now, what other systems do is the transaction. They create sales orders, they purchase orders, and rest of the other transactions, all kind of transactions. What MDG system does, system means it is one S4 system is there, and what MDG system does is it is used only to create master data. So you create master data here and just replicate, send IDOC, send file, RFC, whatever it is. So you send the data to other system. So this is a good picturization of hub model. Okay. Now let's look at hub model. You have MDG system. You have MDG box here. MDG box means it's a, you can say, set of transactions, T codes that you have here, and you have MDG specific tables. Okay, we are talking about this layer. This layer is there. One system for MDG and other system for all your transactions, SD transaction, purchasing, etc. Okay. Again, going back to this is what we are talking about: MDG system, and these are blue ones are transaction system. So we just send data to others so that their transaction can happen. So this is what we have here: MDG system and transaction system. These are separate systems, separate SAP systems that businesses have. Okay, this is called hub model. But what smaller businesses do, they do not always have that kind of surplus money that they buy two separate SAP systems. Or in general, big businesses, what they do is they will buy 10, 15 SAP system for different modules. So they will keep one for MDG module itself. But smaller businesses, they don't have that kind of money. So they buy or they take license for only one SAP system and implement MDG in the same thing and do the transactions as well in the same thing. The advantage that they get here is, first, less costly. The other advantage is you don't have to do replication, data replication, because it is in the same system. So if MDG was in each of these systems, then there wouldn't be need for these arrows, right? This replication, these IDOCs or web service, whatever we are calling, it was not required. But it would have the same issue what we have here. Right? So when there is only one system involved for transaction, they can go with co-deployed. But if there are more than one system for transaction, they will have to go with the hub model. Okay? So this is the difference between co-deployed and hub model. So that's pretty much everything for today, and we will continue with the introduction in our next session. Thank you.